Hey there, my name's Jesse, and you're listening to the Deep Lore Boys podcast.
Apparently they had plenty of drugs, but no food.
Michael, if you're on here, please sell us Sealand.
Dude, honestly, I think she nailed it best. Okay.
We are so back. Season 3 of the Deep Lore Boys is here. We told you it wouldn't be that long of a wait. We lied. It was kind of a long wait, but here we are, back at it again at Krispy Kreme.
It's good to be back.
Season 3 is off the ground, but you know what else is off the ground? The Principality of Sealand. That's going to be our opening bit for Season 3. A bit that we should have done
Is that our
long
first
ago.
segue, dog? That's our opening bit.
That's my opening segue. Was it good?
I think it's okay.
Matthew, you wanna hit him with the synopsis?
This is probably the greatest thing that's ever been done. Basically, long story short, really old offshore platform sitting off the coast of England in the middle of the ocean.
It was a fort that was built just off the coast of Britain during World War II.
It really isn't. It's like it looks like a Minecraft base. Like there really isn't a whole lot to work off of.
It's two concrete silos coming up out of the water and just a big rectangular platform.
They just slapped on top.
There's like a helicopter landing pad, and that's basically all there's room for. I don't know what purpose this thing serves.
I don't know. I feel like this would be really cozy, though. Like, it's kind of a mood. Like,
yeah, it'd be like the Jehovah's Witness final boss. Like, they never let you out there.
Dude, yeah, you have a point, man. What are they supposed to do?
You imagine you're living on Sealand, just living the dream out here in solitude, and you hear a knock on your door. It's the Mormons.
They come in with a helicopter, man. Like, how do they?
Like, come on,
man.
Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?
The thing sat abandoned for years until eventually a group of what basically became radio pirates took control of it in 1967. Pirate radio is basically just a radio that operates without a license.
Yar, ye be listening to Pirate Radio 103.7, where we listen to shanties, and more shanties.
Yar. And then Paddy Roy Bates, he shows up and boots them out and claims this as his own.
So random British citizen, Major Paddy Roy Bates, I guess he's a major, he's not exactly super random, busts in here, says Sealand is mine now, and literally just claims it, takes it over. So he's living on Sealand. And then in 1968, this is when it starts getting real, some British workmen enter his territorial waters, and they are servicing a navigational buoy near the platform. They're just workmen. And Michael Bates, which is Paddy's son, just starts shooting into the water to try to scare them off. I mean, granted, when you see British encroaching on unclaimed land...
I get it.
Oh, and Britain was not impressed with this. They ended up summoning him to the court of England. They brought this guy to court, and what he did would be illegal in Britain to fire off warning shots and stuff, but technically Sealand was not in Britain. It was in international waters.
So they were like,
actually,
I guess,
like, pin this on him. So what ended up happening after this, he went free, and then he was like, you know what? This can now be its own country.
What are they supposed to do? Yeah.
So Wikipedia goes on to say, just a few years later in 1975, Bates introduced a constitution for Sealand, followed by a national flag, a national anthem, a currency, passports, and an immigration stamp.
And like it's in international waters, like nobody owns it, nobody has jurisdiction over it, so they kind of just let him do this. And so yeah, they own Sealand pretty peacefully for about 3 years, and then we get to the fun part of the story. The 1978 attack.
This is only 3 years after the Constitution was written. It did not last long.
All the people living on Sealand at this point are Major Paddy Roy Bates, his son Michael Bates, along with Jack Moore and his daughter Jane, who were living there before they showed up. So they've kind of got this little community. Okay, just listen to this guy's name. Tell me that this is not a straight up villain, a nemesis name. Alexander Archenbach. I think that's
He's
how you
evil.
pronounce it.
He's evil. Okay.
He hired several German and Dutch mercenaries to lead an attack on Sealand because he believed that he was the prime minister. He was the rightful owner. I think he was just declaring
What?
that because he could.
He just decided he would be the rightful. Had he even been there before?
Well, granted, Michael Bates and his dad also just decided they owned Sealand. So,
Dog, didn't they build like 50 of these forts? Like, there's more than one. Like, why are they?
there's only
so
one Sealand, Matthew.
This man is
Like,
straight up vile. Okay, so he invited Bates and his wife to Austria to discuss the sale. And while they were there, he was like, oh, yes, now that they're gone and they can't defend it, now we take it.
Now we attack.
Oh, so he just sent people. Okay, and
Where
his
we
goal was to
dropping?
turn it into a hotel and casino.
That is such a villain move. That is like your classic. That's like a Wild Kratts villain.
What? Dude, why? Why is he so evil? That's like, dude, go find
name's
your own
Achenbach.
property, dude.
So the mercenaries storm the platform and they take Michael Bates hostage.
So Michael's their son.
Michael is their son. So Patty Bates, he's off Sealand. The mercenaries storm Sealand. They take his son hostage. Then Michael, somehow, this mad lad pushed into a corner, he was able to retake Sealand and capture not only Achenbach, but also the mercenaries.
How? How?
He
What did he do?
Get this. I don't know. He just went
They just
sicko
said-
mode.
yeah, it just says that on the
leaves it
wiki.
to your imagination. They're
Just
just like,
says
you know
they
what?
took
Like,
Michael Bates hostage, and then literally next sentence, nothing in between, Michael was able to retake Sealand and capture Achenbach and the mercenaries.
And meanwhile, Patty Bates and his wife are at like a really expensive restaurant sitting at the table. The waiter's like, "Are you still waiting for your guest?" He's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
like
I'm sure he'll
yeah,
be
yeah.
here."
No, so there he's just holding literally. So he flips the hostage situation on its head, and he's like, "No, like I'm not stuck here with you. You're stuck here with
You're
me.
stuck here with me.
Okay." And he
how old
holds
was
him there.
Michael Bates at the time? Do we know?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but what we do know, okay, is that
He was 7
he
years
was-
old. Holy
he was gonna
crud.
no way. Basically, he wanted Achenbach to pay the equivalent of $35,000 in order to be let go to Sealand. You know, and then Achenbach was charged with treason against Sealand, as he should have been,
Of course.
because he
He
did
did
have
have
a
a
Sealand
passport,
passport.
but-
Yeah. So yeah, that happened. Then on top of that, because he wouldn't let this guy go, Germany had to send a diplomat over from its embassy in London to Sealand to negotiate the release. And then, of course, Roy Bates, the man who owns this whole thing, is like, wait a second, this means Germany recognizes us too. He's like, wait, this is a win.
Wait a second.
So now this means that England and Germany both recognize Sealand as its own,
As its own
own
country.
country. So legally, at this point, I say we give it to them, right? Like,
Oh,
what are we
yeah.
even supposed to do? Jackson,
So-
I love your phone just going off so violently.
It's really scary.
I moved it to vibrate because I didn't want it disturbing.
Dude,
and
the
it's still
vibration is
disturbing.
so much louder, dog. Every time your phone vibrates, it sounds like a dying cicada.
So right after this, Sealand passports obviously like skyrocketed. Everyone was like, "I gotta get a passport."
I gotta
To
try to
Sealand.
take over Sealand.
Unfortunately, though, that only lasted for 19 years, and then they had to stop doing it because apparently someone, they don't know who, was using a money laundering scheme to sell fake Sealand passports
Oh
to
no.
finance drug trafficking and money laundering from Russia and Iraq. Achenbach was one of the ringleaders of this operation, of this money
No.
laundering, Russia, Iraq, drug trafficking.
That was
thing.
all.
What?
Yeah, he apparently did a lot of money laundering.
Why was he an
Um,
actual like Sealand cartoon villain? He was
So he
always
did a
after
ton
Sealand.
of money laundering. He fought, according to this website, he fought to regain Sealand for years, and he became the managing director in the late 90s of a shell company that bore the name Okay, he named it Sealand Trade Development Authority Limited. That's the whole name.
Wow.
Okay.
Why was he so obsessed with Sealand?
What I'm seeing here is Achenbach, like he has the idea of building on more stuff to it. He wanted to build it into a giant hotel, a luxury hotel, like a casino, everything. And his goal was to make it into its own governing body where rich people could go and just not be in any way affected by the law. Is really his plan. That's his big goal here. And then
okay.
Roy Bates is like, no, this is my Sealand.
Actually, now that you mention it, that makes a lot of sense because they can get away with all kinds of stuff out there.
I think this is an image of Alexander Achenbach. I
No
think that's
way.
him.
Oh, I didn't expect. I thought he'd have a sharper jaw and a mustache. It's kind of what I was.
An evil curly mustache.
Same, yeah.
Maybe he does.
That's the story of Sealand for the most part. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of time since then. There's a couple more bullet point pieces of history with Sealand. In 2006, it caught fire. There was, this is funny, in 2007, the Pirate Bay. I don't know if you guys know about that website. I definitely don't. I've never pirated anything. An online index of digital content and entertainment media. Basically, they were based in Sweden, but there were really harsh copyright measures taken, and so they needed a base of operations elsewhere. And they were like, "Hey, Sealand, what would you say if we offered you some money and maybe we could put our base out there?" It was an attempted sale, but they didn't buy it.
Telling me Sealand could have owned Pirate Bay? Are you telling me that could actually have happened, man? That's poetic, actually. That really...
In 2015, Bates said that Sealand's population is, and I quote here, normally like 2 people.
So I don't think that the OG, I don't think that Roy Bates is still alive. I can't
Unfortunately,
find anything on that. No,
he passed away in 2012. And then his son Michael took over operation of Sealand. And as far as I can tell, he is still doing that. He's still...
Seems like he is. Do we know who his successor would be? Does he have anybody in mind?
Michael, if you're on here, please sell us Sealand. We will take it over. We will run it very well.
We'll run it well.
For real, Michael Bates, we will buy Sealand.
I just want to end on this one photo here. I have never seen 2 more smug-looking dudes. I'm just going to say this right now. Like, this is Roy and his son Michael on Sealand.
So this is fun.
Dude, there they are, yeah.
Like, they are fully aware,
man,
that this is the coolest thing that has ever happened.
That has to have been in the 70s. There's no way that was taken anywhere else.
Wow, the aviators. I mean, the mustache, the watch, the coat. Is that a shark tooth necklace that Papa's got there? I don't know, but
I think it's
the sideburns.
A locket of some kind, yeah. Man, that's a hard image.
Hey, hope you're enjoying Deep Lore Boys Season 3, Episode 1. You are the reason that we do this. Matthew and Jackson and I don't make any money off of this podcast. It's not monetized. We don't put ads in it. We're just doing it for fun and because we enjoy it. Of course, the dream is to see the podcast get bigger. That would be awesome if it happens. If you want to help us get there and live that dream, leave a like, leave a review. I know that that's the cliche YouTuber thing to say, but it really does help boost us in the algorithm and it gets the deep lore to more people. You know, fight the reptilian propaganda. Anyway, here's the rest of the episode.
I did probably one of the coolest deep lore related things since I've started joining the podcast, and that was...
Was it cooler than walking the streets of Baltimore with blood on your fingertips?
That was Chicago, and...
okay.
Second
Come
coolest.
On, Jesse.
Come on,
Second
dude.
coolest.
That's gotta sound really unsettling to anybody who hasn't heard that episode. I'm not even gonna say which episode it is. Just go.
You
out
don't
and find
get
it.
to know which episode that is. Okay.
That's all right. Yeah, you.
No. All right. So I went to a Sasquatch convention. Basically, I'm gonna send you guys a picture of me with a Squatch. You guys are gonna.
Ooh, is this a Jackson face reveal on the podcast? Do we need to blur you out?
I was gonna say you might have to blur me out here.
All right,
dude. What?
Yep, there it is.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that is me with Sasquatch, and
that's him.
Here's another picture of the Squatch riding a hoverboard.
Oh, is he checking that guy out,
dude?
I don't know what he's doing.
Is that the Squatch? The one and only?
Is that him?
Jackson, I honestly don't want to blur your face out in this photo. It's like a genuine happy, like
Hey,
this is
I've
like
been
a
waiting my
big
entire
moment.
life.
Do you have your arm around him? Do you have
Yeah.
your arm around the Squatch dog?
Of course he does, dude.
Yeah, I think he
That's
has his arm
beautiful.
around me because
Yeah, I mean you can tell. Yeah, you guys are just saying.
Guys are pros. This is such a good image.
Yo,
Dude, Jackson and the Squatch, man, holy!
That sounds like a band name.
Jackson and the
Squatch.
Can we make that?
But look at him. You guys could start a band.
This is
that incredible.
Please, can we make that a band? Okay, call it Jackson and the Squatch.
and then the most important thing there, midway through it, they have a Sasquatch calling competition for who can mimic the Sasquatch's call the best. Just brace yourselves.
All right, we all ready here? Wow. That's pretty convincing.
Dude, I respect that. Okay. He's just like a siren, dude.
Is he the guy from the Vine with the batteries, the AA, AAA?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, like
That's kind of what
dude,
he sounds like. Okay, that one was actually I'm a little more convinced by that one.
I don't know. I really like the first guy with his actual like rage sound. Like I feel like he's
Yeah.
nailing what I expect the most. Okay, so we got actual proper Bigfoot noise, siren head, and goose. Okay.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I'm actually like really intrigued by these. Okay, who do we have next? Dude, honestly, I think she nailed it the best. Okay.
To be fair, that was one
That
of
was
the
just a
scariest one
scream.
I've heard so far. If I heard
I think
that,
that's the sound of somebody running from Bigfoot. That's
Yeah,
not-
that's
I think that
like
might be more what
somebody
that is.
heard that in the woods at night, and they were like, "Oh, that must be the Squatch."
it was the Squatch's victim.
Sasquatch is really like a mix between like a wolf, a bird, a siren. Like it's like all
Yeah,
them
all sounds
mixed
that
in.
you could mistake in the wild for Sasquatch that aren't actually
Yeah,
him.
that's
But
kind
like
of
they,
thing.
in this case, they are.
Oh, wait, guy with the orange shirt is immediately opening, like hyping up the crowd. Okay, like this guy knows what's going on. Dude, that's gotta be him.
He
That's
put his
gotta-
heart and
That's one.
soul
He
into
is,
that
yeah,
one.
he
That is the
did, man.
best one,
Holy,
yeah, that is what Bigfoot sounds like. If you
That's
ever hear
it.
that in the woods,
Run.
a lot of them are very like. There's a lot of whooping and stuff, which I guess like falls in line of Bigfoot as a giant monkey. But I never really thought of Bigfoot as making noises like that. Like if he was gonna do whooping and stuff, he'd definitely be guy with the orange shirt. But I always thought of him as making noises like that first video of just that like guttural orc noise. Like that's kind of what I would picture.
Now wait, Jackson, you were there. I mean, you met Sasquatch himself. Can you give us your best Sasquatch call?
How do you think Sasquatch would sound?
all right, here goes nothing. Since I met him, and I'm gonna say what he said basically while we took that photo together.
Okay.
He went like. That was the sound that he made.
Jackson, that is
As we were
haunting. Okay.
Does that mean you want to take a selfie in Squatch?
I
Yes.
believe it. And that is how Jackson and the Squatch was born, the greatest band
That's-
ever made.
That was really not a bad sound, Jackson.
That actually
I thought it was
wasn't,
going to be
no.
something goofier, but I was pretty impressed. All right, guys, taking a quick break from the episode just to say we are immensely excited about season 3, but the fans have all been asking one question. It's been very pertinent on our Discord lately, and that is, will Sushi be on the podcast in season 3? And I'm here to confirm, yes. Yes, Sushi will indeed be on the podcast. Here it is. Sushi on the Deep Lore Boys, everybody. Congrats, Sushi. It's an honor to have you here. This is really expensive, actually. I'm not going to buy that for $6, but I know that it's good. So let me start this here. This is a good topic. Oh, I'm excited.
Ooh, ho, 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 ho.
Oh no, this already looks like a disaster.
The Erie Canal Soda Pop Festival, also known as the Bull Island Rock Festival.
This is appearing to have the same energy as Cleveland's Balloon Fest.
Oh, actually, that's a really good comparison. Yeah. So here's what happened. This is what happened. An outdoor rock concert. You'd get a ton of people together, thousands of people outside, have an outdoor stage, and you'd have a bunch of bands come in and perform. It was the cool thing to do in the 70s. It's still cool today, but city officials didn't always like that a lot because it meant that there were a lot of drugs and there was a lot of alcohol. And so if you wanted to get your concert approved by city officials, you might call it a soda pop festival because that just makes it sound childish. And it was usually enough for the men in suits to be like, I guess that'll work, see? And they'd
That
allow
sounds
it.
pretty nice. Yeah, that's
So-
anything to appease them.
So enter Tom Duncan and Bob Alexander. They've held some successful small rock festivals. They've done a good job, but they want to really hit a home run. They want to do something nobody's ever done before.
Yeah.
Dude, I like how it just said they began planning and then it has on quotes, bigger than Woodstock festival nearby.
Yes.
It's just like, man, okay.
But what should be said here, the immediate thing that I'm noticing right off the wiki, is that the capacity is 55,000 people. That is the estimation. That's who they were prepared for. And it's thought that over 300,000 people wound up attending. So that is 6 times what they were ready for.
Yes. Tom and Bob here, they sell all these tickets. They're like, come on down, Erie Canal Soda Pop Festival. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have Black Sabbath, Fleetwood Mac. It's going to be great. And so they sell like hundreds of thousands of tickets, but then the city says, sorry, you can't actually do the festival here where you thought you were going to be able to. You can go do it over here in Bull Island, though. It's small, but you can do it over there. And so Tom and Bob are like, shoot, we can't fit all these people over there. Like, what the heck? We already sold these tickets. Let's just do it anyway. And so 300,000 people arrive to Bull Island, which is in the middle of Illinois. It's a strip of land. It's not actually an island, but it's on the Indiana side of the Wabash River.
That is a ton of people, though, too. Like, that is a lot of people.
It was way more than anybody was prepared for. And that is when the disaster begins.
Maximum AT&T Stadium can fit 100,000 spectators, the highest capacity of any NFL stadium. This is 3 times that. Like,
yeah, they're all crammed
jam-packed.
onto an island. Okay. Apparently, they obviously did not have nearly enough food or water for all of these people.
Well, the problem started long before that even. So food and water became an issue, but right off the get-go, Bull Island is only accessible by 2 roads, and there's 300,000 people coming. So it was just backed up for over 20 miles.
That would do it, yeah.
Numerous attendees, because they were just caught in traffic, they had nowhere to go. They just started selling drugs to each other while waiting to continue moving, because they're like, well, as long as we're here and there's no police.
That's what I'm seeing. Apparently they had plenty of drugs, but no food. So
Right. So you can see how this melting pot quickly became.
Apparently there was a huge problem with unsanitary conditions, and then it started raining. Oh, it started raining badly, apparently. It flooded. There was a truck bringing food into the festival, and before it even made it, they hijacked it, looted all the food, and burned the truck down.
Yeah, so it is a swamp. It's a drug fest. It's unsanitary. There were also not a lot of bathrooms. There were like a couple of outhouses for 300,000 people. So not only is it a complete marsh, but it also is just starting to smell like feces because it's just a field of turds.
Oh man, I didn't even think of that. Sunday evening, some of the people there killed a local resident's cow because they wanted to eat it. They did not have any means of butchering it. I get the fact that people were hungry, but like, were the munchies so bad that after less than 3 days they had to kill a cow? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
so picture this. You're there, you show up to this festival, you didn't bring food, or you might have brought a little bit, but like there's gonna be food there and it's not a huge event. Then there's 6 times as many people there. There's no bathrooms, everybody's looting and eating each other's food. The food trucks that are already there are quickly spent. And now you've been out there 3 days, you can't really drive because it's a swamp and traffic's so backed up. Your car has been destroyed and looted. Like, you don't have any options.
Apparently they set up their own little like drug market in the middle of the festival where dealers would just go and openly display the drugs and just like sell them. Like they had this drug store in the middle. Uh someone OD'd on heroin and someone else just drowned in the river. And then to wrap it all up, after the guests had destroyed the food truck, destroyed all of the food vendors who were selling the food and just taken it all, uh, they decided, what better to do than to just set fire to the stage and just burn the whole thing down.
Oh, did they?
Yep, so they just burned, by the end of it, they literally set the entire stage on fire. Yeah, that was it. I mean,
Yeah,
this
they
was,
also began looting parked vehicles. It became
I mean, this is just what
every man
happens
for
when you
himself.
cram 300,000 crackheads onto an island. I mean, it's like Fortnite, but the
Right.
server is overloaded. I mean, like, I don't know.
And with no food, no water, like 3 bathrooms, it just becomes a hellscape.
Dude, they have such a nice lineup, though. I mean, even Cheech and Chong were there, okay? Like, they had such a nice lineup.
Black Sabbath, Fleetwood Mac, Bob Seger, yeah, along with the Eagles. Of all of them, it looks like Cheech and Chong did show up. A lot of them didn't show up. And that was a problem because in between like sets, there was just massive, massive gaps like in between each one. So you were just sitting there like waiting.
Yeah,
for the next
people were
person
just
to
waiting,
play.
and apparently that just made the crowds even angrier, and they had nothing to do, so they were just like, you know what? Destroy thing.
And I mean, to the band's credit, when you pull up on the Soda Pop Festival and there's 20 miles of backed up traffic, I'm not going to try to take the tour bus into the turd fields
Yeah, I mean,
past the butchered cow.
I can't say I
And, like,
really fault anybody for this.
So
I'm
Cheech
not-
and Chong
it's-
eventually get up there and they start making a couple of jokes about how bad the festival's going, which at that point you basically have to. Like, you have to try to be on the people's side at this point, or they might try to kill you. And apparently that didn't even work because it started downpouring and they couldn't perform.
Yeah, so they had to cut their entire set short because it started raining so bad. So they just
And,
show up. They're like, man, this really sucks, doesn't it, guys? This is the
And then-
worst. And then they just leave.
And then apparently the promoters of the festival were sued by the landowner of Bull Island.
for that one cow.
I don't really know how. Like,
What do you mean
I
you don't
know
know
what he was
how? Like, what
expecting
grounds
was-
he has
no.
to stand on?
no. I mean, obviously, I get why he sued, but I don't know what exactly he was expecting. But I can't
So,
imagine
yeah.
Well,
it was.
he was
simple.
expecting 5,500 people, right? Or 55,000?
Yeah,
which
55,000
would not have been
people with...
as bad.
Oh, so that was what he was originally told. He wasn't.
Yeah, he
told
was told, like, hey, so yeah, Tom and Bob went to him and were like, hey, can we use your land for this festival? It's going to be awesome. It'll increase local business and it'll be really, really great.
Oh,
Don't you
I
want to
mean-
be remembered as the guy who hosted the Erie Canal Soda Pop Festival?
Yeah, it was like, man, that sounds cool, but no, it was not
So,
to be.
man, So yeah, I guess if you're expecting that, and then 6 times the amount of people show up,
Right.
Yeah, and they poop all over your lawn and everything. Okay. And then apparently after this, there was another farmer on the island who sued them as well, alleging that he had lost cattle due to marijuana inhalation, apparently, is what he said caused the loss of his cattle. I'm pretty sure the cattle were murdered by the people who were hungry.
In order for the cows to have died from marijuana inhalation, that either implies that they like found marijuana on the ground and sniffed it, or there was just a cloud of
Yeah, like by the
pure
time that you're
marijuana.
dying from marijuana inhalation, like how much weed is in this cattle farm?
Many people have called this the worst music festival of all time, and I'm not gonna lie. This looks really bad.
Yeah, I can't think of any to top it.
The idea of giant music festivals like this sounds really fun, but they literally just got a ton of stoners and potheads together and just were like, here, this is your island, and just like let them free with nothing. This would be a lot of fun with like, I don't know, 10 people, but when you get to 300,000, I feel like we've kind of hit the limits, so
10 people, 3 outhouses, 1 cow. Hey again, it's Jesse. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Deep Lore Boys podcast. If you did, leave a like, leave a review, subscribe for more episodes, share it with a friend, you know the stuff. Thanks for listening, and I hope your day is nothing short of interesting. Take care.
I'm gonna go post that one on twitter.com.